with this idea of developing a wide range of dynamics on the piano, we can also think about the sound world in which each of these composers lived. When we think of dynamics and sound as a historical concept, we can make sure that we are using the correct dynamic, the correct type of dynamic based on the composer that we're playing. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, Bach had a very different instrument than Beethoven, and Liszt and Schumann and Brahms had a different instrument than Beethoven, than Mozart, and of course, than Bach. So the world in which these composers lived, the sound world that they were associated with, has direct implications to how we play their music on the piano. Another interesting thing is the orchestra. When we take a composer like Franz Liszt or Robert Schumann, they are imitating the orchestra. The sounds that they are able to create at the piano are directly related to the sounds of the orchestra. Let's take an example. For example, if we look at Bach. With Bach, we think of the harpsichord, the clavichord, the organ. When we think about the dynamics in Bach, we often speak of terraced dynamics, dynamics that go from one level directly to the next, louder or softer, rather than these large swells, these large crescendos or decrescendos. That's much more of a romantic idea. Also, we don't have the same extremes of sound, triple forte, quadruple forte, these huge, big, bombastic sounds. Similarly, we don't have those very, very piano, almost inaudible sounds. So with Bach, it's a much more, we can say, straightforward sound that doesn't have as many shades. The musical expression is not so much located within those dynamics. If you take the first prelude, for example, the musical discourse needs to be very clear, but it would not necessarily be appropriate to have too much sound, too loud or too soft within that opening. Of course, we could compare that to Rachmaninoff. Here, we have a big orchestral sound using the pedal, using the low part of the register. So a completely different dynamic world. Or a composer like Debussy. Different sound world. So each of these composers associated with their historical period lives within a different dynamic world. The possibilities, the imagination, the creative possibilities are completely different. And so I challenge you to think about that when you're playing your pieces, regardless of your skill level. Think about the appropriate dynamic for each piece and use your imagination to try to find these sounds, these tones, these shades that you feel is appropriate for the specific expressive quality of each piece.